Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to the program. My name is Jeff, otherwise known as the Economic Prepper. Welcome back to the program. Really appreciate you taking the time to stop by, check out the video. Today's topic is going to be about the U.S. digital dollar. Now, I talked about this in the last video, which hopefully I get the right sequence and put this up here correctly, but it'll be the video right before this where I talked about the executive order. But the executive order is creating the study of creating a stable coin, a U.S. digital stable coin. So I'm going to, for ease of communication and speaking about it, I'm going to call it the U.S. digital dollar. So we're going to talk about that today. If you like videos that just get right to the point, talk about these kinds of topics, please give me a like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff that helps me and encourages me to make more of these videos, helps me grow, all that good stuff. Jumping right into it. The U.S. digital dollar. What's the point? Why? So first off, what is it not? It is not a CBDC. That's also laid out in the executive order in the same video I'm pointing to up here. It's not going to create a central bank digital currency, which means it's not going to be a police state where they're not going to be monitoring all your transactions and preventing you from paying the kid to mow your lawn or like going to a yard sale. Whatever you want to do with your cash is going to preserve that. But for the digital dollar, what is it going to do? How does it benefit the United States, and how can it help us out with the national deficit, with the budget? So let me share my screen very briefly, and I went through a video, and I'll try to post it up here as well. It's lengthy, okay? It was one where I talked about how they could get rid of the IRS and balance the budget. But I'm going to put that up in the corner when, it'll be up, way up over there. There. You get the idea. It'll be up in the corner. If I go back to this view, I can point to it easier. It'll be up in this corner when I get it right. But it's a lengthy video, and it talks about the budgets and the numbers and doing some math and how do we do that. But I'm going to try and keep it as simple as possible to keep this short. But if you want more details, please go check out that other video. But some of these numbers here. These are the 2023 numbers because that's what I had available when I made that video. It's not terribly different. It's obviously not going in the right direction, but you can see over there, right over there, yeah, that way. All right, you can see over here. It's like in 2023, we spent over 6 trillion. We brought in about 4.5, and half of that 4.4 was income tax, 2.2. So those are the numbers we're going to work with to talk through. So remember this. Let's call it 4.4, we're going to call it 7 because they spent nearly 7 in 2024. But we have a gap of, say, $2.5 trillion of making the ends meet without changing anything. I'm not taking away the IRS. I'm not taking away the income tax. I'm not going to do that in this video. I'm going to talk about how do we make those two numbers equal or a positive number. So how do we do that, folks? So first off, this is something I also mentioned in the other video. Again, I keep pointing up here, but I encourage you to check it out. It's something called M2. What is M2? But there's different ways to talk about how much money, how much currency there is in the world. M2 is the common denominator of what everybody uses as the definition of money flowing around the planet, or what's available to flow around the planet. And that could be cash, could be CDs, could be things that are easily made liquid, made easy. You can convert it to cash very easily. It could be stocks and bonds, that kind of thing. But we get the idea. There's about $60 trillion in non-U.S. currency in M2 around the globe. So you take all of M2 with it was around 80 trillion. Take away the U.S., which is about 20. That leaves 60 for the rest of the planet. Why is that number important? Well, the idea here is no one's buying our treasuries right now. No one wants to buy our treasuries. And the treasuries, that's the way our bonds, the U.S. Treasury bonds. Typically what the Treasury does, working with the Federal Reserve, we're not going to go there. We don't like that. Of course we don't. But this is how the government operates. They issue a bond. Someone buys it. Typically someone foreign. Typically in the past it has been China. That's one of the major holders of these bonds. They buy these bonds and they get it's very low risk, and they get a dividend. They get percentage paid back by the United States, the interest on those bonds. But that's how the government operates. They issue a bond, they get the revenue from the bond of selling it, and they use that for operating expenses. That's what they do. So, why am I talking about bonds? The idea here is that this U.S. digital currency can be made available on platforms that can be marketed towards and made available towards people outside of the United States. What that means is someone sitting in, I'm going to pick a country at random, say someone sitting in Greece, and I don't even know what the currency is in Greece. If you do, leave in the comments. I would love to know. But let's say someone living in Greece, they don't like that their currency is bad, or Turkey. I think Turkey's a bad interest country right now. Last I checked, it was like 40%. It was crazy. But they don't like the local currency. They get paid in the local currency, and they may not even have a bank account. That's another issue about banking the unbanked. That's a good thing for crypto. But let's just say they have a bank account and they get paid. I'm going to just make a number. They get paid $100 equivalent a week. Okay? The problem is, like, a lot of them aren't banked, but their purchasing power goes down rapidly in their currency. So they may get paid $100 in the week. Let me clear Friday evening. By the time they get to shopping on Monday, that $100 may only buy like $90 worth of stuff. That's how quickly it dissipates and prices change. That's not good. So what would appeal to someone sitting in Greece or another country with a currency that's devaluing very quickly? Huge inflation problem. Well, you could store your wealth in a different currency. Now, we talk a lot about on this channel using, gold, silver, or Bitcoin as options to get out of the dollar system. The dollar hegemony, the dollar narrative that everybody's pushed towards all over the planet because the dollar is the global currency. Yes, it is, but it doesn't mean it's doing its job very well. It's good, does a good job as a currency. It can move around and it can flow all over. It's accepted in most countries, if not all. But the problem is the purchasing power keeps going down. And we've all experienced this the last 5 years. Like that gallon of milk, that gallon of gas, it's still the same gallon of stuff. But the number of these that you need, you can't get either one for the two of these anymore. You need 4 or more. That's because of the inflation. That's the purchasing power of these going down, not the thing that's being purchased changing at all. So again, that's why an ounce of silver is like $30 and it used to be 12, as little as 5-6 years ago. So you got a digital dollar. You put it on a platform, right? The U.S. has sanctioned the U.S. dollar. Let's just fast forward, say 3 months. The U.S. now has a digital dollar. If they put it on a platform where other countries or other people in different countries can say, I want to get out of pesos. I want to get out of euros. I want to get out of yen, won, dinar, pesos, whatever it is. They want to change their money into dollars. So what they could do in their app, they may get paid digitally. I don't know. But let's just say that they can convert their pesos. I'm picking a currency. They could change their pesos into digital dollars. And those digital dollars, yes, they have inflation issues too. But it's much slower of a rate than their native currency. So let's just say that someone in another country says, I would rather be in the dollar versus my local currency. And they're able to do that now thanks to the digital dollar. Now, I just said there's $60 trillion outside of the U.S. that are available as M2. If 5% of that changes from their local currency to a U.S. digital dollar, they're essentially buying dollars on those apps. And those dollars that they're buying are backed by U.S. treasuries that they issue. And they could issue them for 0%. Maybe 1% is a token gift, but you get the idea. It doesn't have to be a high interest rate that these bonds are issued at all. They can be low interest rates. So once Trump drives down the interest rates, you can issue new bonds at 1%, and it'll be attractive to someone in Greece or Argentina or somewhere else like that wants to get out of their local currency and be in the dollar. So if you get 5% of the world that does that, that's $3 trillion that goes back to our bottom line. If I jump back over to here, if I get $3 trillion, that revenue goes up by $3 trillion. Now I have 7.4 versus 6.1. Now that I'm not even taking into account tariffs or other changes or spending cuts. Okay, but there's 2 ways to fix a budget. Well, there's 3 ways to fix a budget. 1, cut spending. 2, raise income. And 3, get other sources of income. So Trump is working all 3. The Doge team, which we'll talk about shortly, they're looking at cutting costs. They're looking at the budget too. But the the CFTC and the SEC and this crypto group, they're going to be looking at issuing a digital dollar to get more people to buy our bonds, because the nation states that used to buy them aren't buying them anymore because they have their own problems. So the reason that the dollar was so strong for the last 50 years is that we were able to export our debt by selling bonds to other countries. That's why we were able to issue so much currency, especially the last 5 years. But now we've outstripped that value. We've issued so much currency the last 5 years. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's like 75 or 80% of all dollars that have ever existed have been created in the last 5 years. You can check me on that. Leave a comment down below if I'm right or wrong. But that just tells you that, okay, we can't sell these things fast enough. And the way we used to sell them was with bonds. And countries are like, no, this isn't working for us. So now we're going to appeal to the masses and say, hey, if you want these instead of your local currency, here's a way you can do it. And they're already used to digital currencies anyway. It's very much more common outside the U.S. because many people are not banked. Like just take El Salvador, for example. I almost said El Paso. But El Salvador, I believe it costs $50 to have a bank account, and the average income was like $100 last I checked. This is back when Bitcoin Beach was being established in El Salvador a couple years ago. So no one had bank accounts and no one had card swipers or anything at the stores. It was all a cash society. So if the cash is inflating and it's a bad cash system, of course you're going to be looking for a different currency. So those are my thoughts on the U.S. crypto and the executive order and the purpose behind a U.S. digital dollar and how that can help save the economy and save the national debt crisis that we have. What are your thoughts? Do you think this is an opportunity for the U.S. to move forward? Does it make sense to you? Did you understand what I said? Is it all coming together to you? Leave a comment down below. I read them all, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.